Hi, this is Mrs. Hannell, and this is your Test 3 review. First question is solve for y. So we are trying to get this in the form that your calculator is in with y equals button. So we are getting rid of the 2x. So we are going to have to put positive 2x on the right to get rid of it, and positive 2x on the left and the right. So we now have 4y is equal to, and we're going to make sure that we put 2x first because the number with the x is your slope and we need slope-intercept form. Once we have it like that, we have only the 4 to get rid of before we have it in the form of y equal like your calculator. So we draw a line under the left side and we draw a line under both terms on the right side, and we put our 4 under the left so that we can get y equals on the left, just like on the calculator. On the right, we put the same number under the 2 and under the 20. So 2 over 4 is a fraction, which simplifies to 1/2 x. And 20 over 4 is an improper fraction, which we divide and get 5. So it's y equals 1/2 x plus 5. And that is in our slope-intercept form. Determine the x and y intercepts of the equation. X-intercept is when you have a number for your x-coordinate, but your y-coordinate is 0. And y-coordinate is the opposite. It is when you have 0 for the x and you solve for the y. So we're going to first replace y with 0. And then we're going to replace x with 0. So we have 6x minus 0, where we had our y, equals 3. And that means that we just have 6x equals 3. To solve for the x, you have to divide both sides by 6. So you're going to put 6x, you're going to put 6x on top and divide by 6 on the bottom. And on the right side, you put 6 on the bottom as well. That means that our value of x is 1/2. And our point is 1/2, 0. And then we are going to replace the x in our equation with a 0. So I'll erase y, and this time I'm replacing the x. So I have 6 times 0, where my x was, minus y equals 3. 6 times 0 is just 0, so that goes away, and we have negative y equals 3. We have to have a positive y, just like on our calculator, so we're going to change the sign of the y, which means we also change the sign of the 3. So our point is 0 for the x value, and we solved and got negative 3 for the y value. Those 2 points can be plotted on a graph and connected. Next question, what is the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points on the screen? So we have to write our slope formula. Notice that this is an x value and this is the y. These are the information that we're given. 2 values for x and 2 values for y. Well, what can we do with those? We can subtract the values of y on the top and subtract the values for x on the bottom. And notice I didn't put y2 minus y1 or x2 minus x1 because you can subtract them in any order. However, we are going to start with the second point, so that is the second point, so that's my y2, and it is a negative 2. Then I go back to my first point where I have the first y value, which goes here, and we put it on the right side. There's the two values of y. We need a minus sign because we have to subtract them. And then on the bottom, we're going to take this second value of x, since we started with the second value of y, and that is -4. And then we're going to subtract the first value of x, which is our 5. So we write the 5, and then we put a minus sign between those two numbers. On the top, that gives us a -2 plus 2, because the two negatives here make a positive. So it's -2 plus 2. And on the bottom, you have -4 and -5. Think of that as owing somebody $4 and owing them 5. So you actually owe them 9. And on the top, the twos cancel and make 0. And on the bottom, you have -9. So if the top number is 0, it means that the slope is 0. See? We're writing an expression that's equivalent to the one on the screen, and we do that by simplifying. So we will have a -5x because we will be multiplying -5 and x. We will have a 20 because we will be multiplying -5 by -4, and those two negatives make it positive, and 5 times 4 is 20. And then we'll copy the rest of the equation. We're going to write the rest of this equation all over again. Right? Start on the left side and write this all over again until we get to the parentheses, and then we will have 12 that we are adding because you have 6 times 2, and then you will have -6x because you did 6 times x, which means put 6 in front of x. Then you have -4x at the end. Combine your like terms of -5x, -6x, and -4x. Make that -15x. And then combine your terms of 20 and 12 and make that 32. Now you have two different terms, the first one with an x, the second one without an x, and that means you're through. Letter E. In the equation that we're given on the screen, what is the value of x when y is equal to 5? So that means right here, you're going to be putting 5 in place of that y. So copy your equation, 4.5x plus 1.8, and then replace the y that you had here with a 5. And continue to write the rest of the equation again. All right, we're going to start from left to right. Copy 4.5x. and stop when you get to this point and multiply these two with the calculator you have. 1.8 times 5 is 9, and that equals 45. And then we got to solve for x, so we are going to first move the 9, so we subtract it. Since 45 and 9 are like terms, we can subtract them and get 36 on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, we have 4.5 x by itself. And now we have to get rid of 4.5. So we're going to divide. We're going to divide by 4.5 on the left to get rid of it, and by 4.5 on the right. You have a calculator, so you can actually divide those with your calculator and see that x is equal to 8. Question F. We're finding the slope again. Again, we have values for x and values for y. So we subtract them to find our slope. Start with y on top. M is equal to your y values subtracted on top, your x values subtracted on bottom. Okay, we can start in any order. I'm still going to start with the second point, so that would be right here, and that is a -5. Then I will subtract the first y, which is 3. So I write both numbers, -5 and 3, that I have in my points, and then I put a minus sign between them. On the bottom, I'm going to start with the second value of x, which is up here, and copy that number. And then I'm going to take the first number for x, which is also 8, and write that number. Put your minus sign again. And then on the top, -5 and -3 is you owe 5, and then you owe 3. So you actually owe 8. On the bottom, 8 minus 8 is 0. Since the 0 is on the bottom this time, we call that undefined. Letter G. If y is equal to f of x, then f of 2 equals 4, and f of 8 equals 7, then what is y when x is equal to 8? Simple problem that you do not have to work. X is equal to 8, as you see that I circled. So that means right here, we have to have the 8 in the parentheses. So we do not want the f of 2, we want the f of 8 right here. And so if x is 8, then that means y is 7. Because we have, for functions, they are x and y values. So y is equal to 7. Question H. Determine the slope of the equation. So we are going to set this equation in slope-intercept form, which means it needs to look like your calculator where you have the y equals by itself. Okay, so now that we have the equation where we can see it, we need to get this in slope-intercept form. So we need to have the equation looking like your calculator button y equals. That means we don't have an x on that button, so we're going to get rid of it. And that leaves us with 5y is equal to, put your 10x first because the number with the x is going to be the slope and it comes before intercept. All right, now we still don't have this where it is y equals like on the calculator, so we're going to divide the left side by 5 and make that y equals like your button on your calculator. And then we're going to put the line under both numbers on the right and put the same thing underneath them. So your first term of your slope-intercept is 10 divided by 5, which is 2x, and your second one is 2/5. Your slope is your 2 because it's the number by the x, so m is equal to 2. Slope is equal to 2. That is the end of your review. I hope you have a good evening and good luck on your test.